invocation, the prayer. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for allowing me to open this meeting. Dear Lord, thank you for allowing the council to continually address issues that affect the citizens of Irmo and make our town grow together as one. Thank you for allowing us to go through our election process and basically reaffirming the things that we already knew, that you are happy with the way that the council is being run, and we wanted to extend our services and make our town even grow even better. In your name, we pray. Amen.
Before we start the meeting, I have a statement that needs to be read into the record that I received when I got here. State law requires municipal governments to meet regularly at least once in every month. It also requires that we set a date for all meetings at the beginning of the year so that residents, concerned individuals, can make plans on attending these meetings. I do not believe this special called meeting meets the requirements of meeting regularly at least once every month. We had canceled our November 7th meeting because of the election. Our next regular meeting was scheduled for November 21st. This is a known date, the third Tuesday in each month, that all council members and others know when to schedule their time if they so desire to attend the meetings. There are many reasons to call a special called meeting. Important issues, emergencies, issues that may arise that need to be resolved before the next regular scheduled meeting. Tonight's meeting, in my opinion, does not meet a proper reason for calling a special called meeting. It may not be legal, it is not unethical, but I do believe it is improper. This meeting could have been held on November 21st as scheduled, and all business on this agenda plus the business schedule for that agenda could have been conducted on the 21st. Nothing on this agenda meets the criteria for the calling of a special called meeting. In order to call a special called meeting, the mayor or 3 council members must call for the meeting. I have seen an email from Councilwoman Condon November 8th requesting we change the meeting due to a conflict with a family event, and responses from Councilman Waits and Councilman Walker that they did not have a problem with changing the date. However, I have not seen a formal request for a special called meeting, nor did the 3 council members state the purpose and the agenda items to be discussed. Again, it may not be legal, not unethical, but in my opinion, improper. If the mayor or 3 council members want to call a special meeting, there should be a purpose and a request for these issues and items to be on the agenda for approval. None of this took place from any records I've seen, so therefore my conclusion, this is an improper special called meeting. I am not in attendance as I have had preset plans between our regular scheduled meetings for this evening. Mayor Hardy King. Since this is a special meeting, we have an abbreviated agenda. Do we have any amendments to the agenda? Anyone? All right, now we open the floor to presentation by citizens on agenda items only. Anyone wishing to speak? Seeing none, we'll move to the new business. First reading of Ordinance 1733, amending the Irmo Town Code, Appendix B, Land Development Ordinance, Article 4, Improvement Guarantees, Section 4.7, Construction Bond Management. And this is something prepared by the council staff. Anyone have any discussion they would like to have? Thank you, sir. Do I have a motion for first reading approval?
So move.
Second? I second it. All in favor?
Well, was there a discussion about it? You gonna make a discussion about it? Oh, do we need to discuss?
We need to approve it to discuss it. It's first reading.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying you got the second. So now we're gonna discuss it and then we're gonna vote on it, right?
Stand corrected. Thank you.
Is that correct?
Thank you.
Okay.
I wasn't prepared for this to happen
No, I
tonight.
understand. Take your time, no problem.
And I've got a sick wife. Anybody wish to discuss the item before us? I believe this is in reference to some of the properties that were on the books when many of us took office that Bob was surprised with later, that the town is now responsible for bringing roads up to code before the county, Richland, or Lexington will take possession of these roads and maintain them from here on out. Mistakes were made previous administration, not our current, and this is something he suggested so that it won't happen again.
Can I speak?
Sure.
My only thing is that I understand what we're trying to do here, but as I said previously in our, when we were putting this on the agenda, I think this is something that's going into. I guess one of the things was telling the town, the developers, they had to have certain feet on their properties for driveways and stuff like that. I mean, this is really a detailed, something that's really complicated, and I didn't have enough chance to understand exactly what we're trying to accomplish with this. So, Bob, can you explain, or can somebody give me some more background on why we're doing this?
Well, there's a lot of detail here, but this was brought up about 7, 8 months ago by Councilman Cooley because of all the issues we were having with roads not being accepted by the county and the town having to pay money to go get them fixed so that the county would accept it. The first project we identified was Ridgemont, and if you remember,
Right.
it cost us about $90,000 to put that up to county standards, and then they accepted it. We're currently working on Cornerstone.
Right.
We also have phase 2 of Garden Brook,
Mhm.
and I just discovered about a month ago Rose Oaks that was started in 2006, and we've got 4 phases over there, and none of that was accepted by the county, so we're probably looking at another $300,000 for that.
Wait a minute, but that project is still being built.
Phase 4 is, and we've got the cash bond that I got in 2012, right after I took over this job, for $31,000. That's not gonna cover all the repairs required to fix phase 1, 2, and 3. Because county only phase 2 is, again, meets their standards, which has changed since 2006 when the roads were first put in.
So isn't this more of a housekeeping
Administrative thing
for us?
for staff, that's right, whoever may replace me or, the rest of my tenure, to make sure that it's done right and we have a handle on it, this doesn't happen again.
Yeah, but why do we need to put a law or have an ordinance on the books that says this is what has to happen? And can't we have that as part of our procedure as a town and as your job as an administrator to make sure that these things happen? I don't know. I'm just asking. I'm not.
It is law for both counties, Richmond and Lexington County, and I talked to their legal department, and when we developed this, it's because that's the way they did it.
Right.
No other reason than that, other than they were doing it that way, and they don't seem to have the same problems that we're having. And a lot of other towns. Don't get me wrong, this is a prevalent problem throughout South Carolina.
Yeah, but
Just Irmo, a lot of
right.
do it.
But what I'm getting at, I'm hearing, we had a problem over in, what is it?
Cornerstone.
Cornerstone. We had a problem down the street, and now we potentially got another problem in Rose Oaks, which is a fairly new development. Isn't that our responsibility as a council, as a town, to keep up with those things and say, okay, you're giving us a bond for $30,000, and you're building a $1 million piece of property? That's not enough. You need to give us a bond for $500,000, not $30,000. The same thing, we got, 2 new subdivisions being built, over on Irmo Drive, and the other one that's,
Church.
Salem Church. Those guys are gonna come to us and give us bonds for stuff, isn't that our responsibility or your responsibility as an administrator to make sure they give us enough of a bond?
It is, but you gotta understand that, for the past, before I took over in 2012, we had
Mhm.
administrator for 9 years.
Right.
Nothing in writing, he's the one that trained me, so, I mean, that's why a lot of us felt he was crap, because he didn't have anything to follow.
Right. I
I
understand.
wanna make sure that when I'm gone, somebody else has something to follow.
Well, we're not gonna let you off the hook that easy, okay? So, but at the same
It's
time,
important to have it, it's important to have it to detail that somebody else could come in if I got hit by a truck and be able to know what needs to be done.
and I agree with you, but I think we need to do that as an administrator, as a council, as a town, not as a law. I don't know. I mean, what is the difference if we say that this is our policy, as a town of Irmo, we have to do this, 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 this?
I actually agree with Barry. I think it probably should be a policy and protocol as opposed to an ordinance, since technically speaking, all of your ordinances by nature are criminal.
Yeah.
So the very act of non-compliance could subject your future town manager or whoever else is seeking to comply to potential law enforcement.
$1,087 fine, 30 days in jail, all that kind of stuff,
Or both.
or both.
I don't have a problem with that. Again, I went to election in Richmond County and they were
Yeah.
telling me how they did it. We don't have to do it. I mean, Barry said we could just write up a policy, we can make this a policy and be done with it.
And that's what I think, council, y'all have to chime in here, but that's what I'm thinking, that this is what we want to accomplish. I'm a little disturbed to hear about Rose Oaks though now, because, I mean, that's a fairly new development and they're still building.
Phase one, it started in 2005.
Right.
And so it's been a long time to get to phase four, and the fact that they skipped all the phases and nothing is what concerns me.
Yeah, I mean, when does the county accept these? I'm sorry to go off on a tangent here, but when does the county actually get the word, okay, we're done developing phase one, are you gonna take the roads over? When do they get that word?
Something has to be generated by council, go to their council, and then they adopt it by resolution to accept it into their maintenance system. Nothing was ever formally done. The county comes in and inspects it because they're inspecting it as the project is being built.
Right,
And then they get through and say, okay, you're good with phase one. The guy goes and moves on to phase two, gets his cash bond back, which is what he
Right.
did back in 2007, got phase one money back and started phase two.
And then all the construction trucks drive on the roads that are not approved
But
and wear them
nothing
out.
was generated by my office saying, okay, county, you need to accept phase one.
okay,
At that time, while we
Right.
still had the cash bond in place.
okay, then I think, again, I'm even more convinced that that needs to be a policy that we adopt in our town, council, whatever, as your job is to make sure that once we get developments like that going in our town, that we have a policy that says 30 days after, well, like you got on here.
And we got letters going out.
Yeah, letters going out,
60, 30.
right,
I'm okay with that.
okay.
Doesn't this have more authority, emphasis, whatever, than a policy?
No, I mean, there's no, we still can't hold anybody liable. I mean, that's why we get a bond from the builder, to have something to hold over his head. Because without the bond, you can just say, see ya, thank you, and we have no recourse. I guess we could sue them, take them to court, but I mean,
Yeah,
once the bond expires, we really have no,
Okay. Well, because if you think we need this, I can think of arguments for that too.
no, Eric says we don't need it. I'm good. I mean, again, it's just for me, internal.
mhm.
And you know, like I said, down the road.
I never asked for you to make an ordinance. The policy,
Just you want to come up with a policy.
the policy is absolutely what I wanted to do, and I want to make sure that there's some redundancy to this. So I'm asking, and this is up to you, I'm asking that a member of your staff also be watching this. So there is some redundancy, and there is a check and balance as to making sure that we don't wind up exactly what's happening now. $300,000, is that what you're thinking, that this could? My
And we
God.
got a $30,000 bond? for that?
All we got to pay for. Phase 4, get them to accept that. They're not costing us anything, but phase 1, 2, and 3. Well,
But we had a $30,000 bond for phase 1, 2, and 3.
no, 31,000 for just phase 4.
What do we?
They'd already closed out phase 3 back before I assumed this position. They just started
Yeah.
phase 4 in 2012.
Well, what kind of bond do we have for phase 1, 2, and
There was a cash bond for each phase.
how much? Do you know?
Very depending on how many houses are being built. And then the bond went back to him after each phase was
Yeah.
completed. The town returned his bond and started the next phase.
But do you see what I'm saying? If you got a $1 million housing development going in and you got a $30,000 bond, that doesn't seem that it matches, you know?
It's just for infrastructure.
That's fine, but it should be at least $500,000. And if he does it right, then he gets his money back. But he's on the hook for a big number.
Well, what we're
You know.
trying to implement here is to make sure that we don't get his money back until the county accepts it.
Exactly. And I would make sure the roads are done right if I'm going to lose $500,000 as opposed to 30,000. You know, right now the guy could say, "Hey, we can't meet the requirements that the county's asking for us, and we got 30 grand, you know, tied up in a bond. Take it."
If I may, if it's going to cost 300 and he's on the hook for 30,
Right.
and I wouldn't do it.
Exactly.
There's no need for him to do it. That is, gee, I got away with this for 30 grand, and then the town does it.
And then the town.
This
has to take it
is stupid. This is dumb.
This is a waste of money. I know.
Yeah.
The county goes out and inspects it today, of course it's going to be stuff wrong with it. The roads and the drainage system, no doubt about it.
And all that construction equipment has gone back and forth for phase 2 into phase 3.
Well, phase 1 was done at the entrance right there off
Farming Creek.
So all those cement trucks and heavy trucks, while people are moving in, the other 200 houses back there, tearing up the road in front.
If I may, what completes a phase? When do you release money? What's the basis of saying it's complete?
Houses, he sold his lots and built it all up.
Doesn't, at that point, the county go in there and say, okay, it's all set?
The county's inspecting it the whole time, that's correct. But the county's not going to volunteer to take the road unless the town says, we want you to accept this road in phase 1.
And we didn't do that.
From council to a resolution.
And we didn't do that.
No, sir.
We're going to do it now.
Yes, sir.
Can we de-annex them? Well, I don't,
My
this is
You talking
such,
about you talking about Rose Oaks?
yeah, this is such a big amount of money. I think we have to think of all the alternatives.
Yeah.
It's done, though. There's no recourse to go back to the builder.
For phase 4, yes.
He's still building in phase 4.
Okay, so there's recourse there, but not in 1, 2, and 3 where we can get hooked for another 300 grand, or
Good
potentially.
Lord.
Town already returned his bonds to him.
There's so many defenses to a lawsuit. It's going to be 30 minutes telling you all the ways you would lose and how much you would spend and lose in the process. Not the least of which is the fact that this occurred, last phase was 2009.
2010, early 2010, when phase 3 was completed, and we started moving into phase 4, but it took about a year and a half off. The same development.
Yeah,
We got
yeah.
phase 4 to phase 1.
So we're 7 years removed from the last relief, and it happened on phases 1 to 3. That's almost all statute of limitations.
No wonder why we're getting so many developments here. All the guys are getting together for coffee and saying, "Hey, Irmo, they'll pay for all the roads in that development. Beautiful. It cost us 30 grand. That's great."
Exactly.
All right. All I want to make sure is that this is going to button it up, and we have some redundancy. I don't know if the town clerk is going to be your backup. You have to decide, but I want that within the policy. I would like to see a policy presented to council, just so we can take a look.
Yeah,
It'll be the zoning clerk.
yeah.
All right. All right.
And I gotta concur with you, Mr. Pouliot, is I'd like to see what you got as an ordinance here, written as a policy for the town to follow. And, like he said, have a redundancy in it, which means that not only you, but the administrator, the zoning administrator, whoever approves these things. But even more importantly, the amount of money, a bond for $30,000 for whatever subdivision. We're getting ready to put in what? Another one over here on
One on Irmo Drive's doing the same thing, Gary. They're also building in phases.
okay, but are they in phase one right now, right?
They haven't started, but we haven't let them provide a bond yet. We don't have an estimate of what the
Great.
bond should be yet.
Great. So that means we can say that you're gonna put in a road, we need a bond comparable to more than $30,000, I'm sure, or whatever.
Whatever the cost of the construction and repairs are to the road.
Okay.
Worked out.
But because these things are done in phases and they take several years, are you adding a percentage for the cost of living increases?
And the wear and
Can you?
road.
We need to do that.
We can bump it up. We get the estimate from the county. They're the ones that go out there and do the inspection and determine what the bond should be. And then we add 25%, which is why we always collect 125%. Nothing to say that we can't just add 20% to the estimate from the engineer and then add the 25%. There's nothing to say we can't do that.
We certainly have to add more because this is,
Yeah.
again, there's no incentive for them to do the work.
No.
That's
Well,
true.
make sure the county accepts them before they even let them start on phase two. The county's got to accept it in writing.
Right.
They've accepted phase one.
Right.
Now, the other part is we need to talk to the county and find out why they're not playing ball with us and accepting some of these roads. I mean,
Well, they have no reason to. They want it built to their standards before they accept it and have to maintain it.
They're at the same coffee table with the developers. I mean,
wow.
my gosh.
Anyone else want to hammer this?
No, but it's a good effort, and if you think a policy will do it, that's fine. I'm sure it'll be written well, and that you'll give us a copy.
All right, then we are in agreement this should change from a ordinance to a policy.
Yes.
Well, we got to vote this
I
one
know.
down. Yeah.
So, all in favor? All opposed? So moved. Mr. Administrator, draft us a policy. Item B, approval to cancel the November 21st, 2017 council meeting. Does anybody object to that? Anybody have any discussion on this matter?
Well, I do. I have a comment. I know that the council, we asked, Mrs. Condom asked us to do something for her, and as a fellow council person, I was obliged to do it. I had some things to do tonight, but I was able to juggle my schedule to accommodate you and accommodate your request.
Thank you.
And I think that we as a council have enough, fortitude that we can do things like that. And I think the people that were looking forward to that meeting on the 21st, being the Tuesday before Thanksgiving, can understand that we have people that are going to be on travel and have commitments. And we knew that was coming up, and we knew that it was scheduled before. But again, when a fellow council person asks us to do something, if we can do it, we can do it. Just like the mayor has chose not to be here tonight for whatever reason, we read that statement into the meeting, to the minutes. I understand that, but whether or not we as a council get together and say, we're going to work together with each other and work with Councilman Condom to accommodate your request, I think is something we can do as a council, and I think the people can understand that was a reasonable request, and we did it. For this to be called an illegal meeting or a meeting that's not warranted or can't be done, and for the mayor to protest by not being here for whatever reasons he has for not being here, is again signs of we need some change and we need some improvement on council. But saying all that to say this is that I think we should move to cancel the meeting since we've had this meeting tonight. And I don't think there's anybody that's definitely going to be impacted by not meeting on the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. And there's nothing really else to discuss. So.
That's right.
I appreciate what you say very much. And as much as you can make this a part of the record, I would appreciate it. I have not heard via email, phone call, or seen in person from the mayor since a week before the election, which is fine. He didn't have to call and tell me anything, but if he objected to this, when I sent him the email as well as all the council, he should have emailed me back and told me his objections. I would have just said, okay, I'm going to miss the meeting on the 21st. It's because of my 90-year-old mother who wants me at home, but, you know, that's why I wanted to go. But she does trump town council on Thanksgiving week. And if he had told me he thought it was improper, illegal, whatever, I would have said, that's fine. Go ahead with the meeting. I'll miss this one. I usually don't miss meetings, but I would understand. But I have not heard a word, except the week before the election. And I resent it because we were just reelected. And whether somebody likes it or not, I was here to tell him, let's try one more time. Let's try to have peace at this table and not embarrass the town. I heard that over and over. Almost every door I knocked on said, would y'all please not fight in public? You make us look bad. And I thought that was a good idea to start tonight, that we try to get along better, or at least don't let the public see us fighting, because it's inappropriate. Anyway, I'm sorry he decided to do what he did, and if he had let me know, I would have just missed the meeting, and that would have been fine too. Anyway, thank you, Barry.
Councilman?
We don't know why the mayor isn't here. He said he had other things that he had already booked, and I think we should give him the benefit of the doubt. This is a special meeting. This special meeting was approved by 3 council people, and I'm here, and we have a quorum, so it goes on. It's that simple. The election's over.
Yeah, it is.
And this meeting should not be about politics. It should be about business. So I think we should just get on to business.
All in favor? Signify by raising your hand.
Is this canceling the meeting?
Cancel
Yes,
meeting.
cancel
Yes,
the meeting.
okay.
All opposed? Seeing none, motion carried. Next on our agenda is an update from Tyler Sanitation. Mr. Jim Reed is here.
No, you missed the
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Reed. I just got my glasses adjusted the other day with my wife. This is Larry from the Okerstrut Commission. He's the chairman. He wants to give us a report.
Sure. Council members, town ordinance calls for the Okerstrut Commission to give you a report of successes and failures after the meeting. Our commission met on October the 10th. First piece of good news that we can't say without the success of the Okerstrut is that Commissioner Randy Jones got a diagnosis of cancer-free today, and that's great news for everybody concerned. Absolutely. Well, how are we doing now? Can you hear me fine?
You're fine.
I don't know.
You're
Do you
fine,
have some
Larry.
paperwork to look at, or?
I did put one in front of you at your desk of just what I had to say. I dropped it at your desk, but I got a spare if you need one, sir.
I'm missing it, I'm sorry.
Looks like this.
Oh, that one, I'm sorry. Hold on.
He's got it.
Oh, I got that. I'm sorry. I thought there was some numbers. Thank you. I'm sorry, Larry.
Absolutely, no problem, sir. So we met on October the 10th. This is the first year that we've attempted some kind of sampling or some kind of measurement of the crowd. And so because a number of bodies have asked us for that. And at a very small sampling first effort, attendees that were sampled reported that 9% of them were actually outside of the Midlands area, 91% being somewhere in the Midlands, from Gaston to Chapin, so somewhere close. But with 9% reporting from out of the area, then we are perhaps creating something in excess of a couple of thousand people into the Irmo area for the Okra Strut, which I think is beneficial for some of our businesses and dining establishments and motels and things. So this is, let's see, if our memory serves, we were 5% reported they were from out of state, 4% were from somewhere in South Carolina outside of the Midlands. We met and worked through our observations, both as commission members and people we've talked to, of what we thought went right with the festival. And we worked a list up to 57 of them. I don't know that you want me to read every one of them to you tonight, but I'll take a victory lap enough to tell you several of them that I think we all noticed. The parade this year went smoothly, flawlessly, no big gaps. It was a good-sized parade, well-attended, probably better than in several prior years. We corrected and improved on the shuttle system, getting the festival goers in and out of the festival easily. Worked much better than last year. We had enough capacity to handle folks, and it went smoothly. We had a visitor information booth the first year of several that was very well received. Even the craft tables for kids, our observations were that more kids came up and worked at the craft table on Saturday than we had seen in a number of years. We had a new production company doing sound and light that went smoothly, put smiles on town staff's face and the entertainer's face as well. It was a great production company that worked through. And hey, how about the Okra Strut dance? Was that cool or what, that we actually put out our own dance this year? The amusement rides seemed to be particularly well received this year. Again, just seemed to be enough for the amount of attendees. Advertisement went well. We think it, although the budget wasn't significantly higher, we really feel like we were very visible through the advertisement this year, and had many comments to that regards. Not to be discounted is the fact that it went pretty smoothly. There were not incidents reported, very minor incidents, if any. So we had a very safe environment for the strut, and that went well thanks to the town public safety for that. We introduced MCs this year. We had, comedian Akintunde running one night. We had Tyler Ryan MCing another night, which seemed to add a great deal to the flow of the entertainment of the show. The wristbands for the rides, just very received, that families could come out at a very nominal amount, $15 for each kid, and ride all night on Friday night. It made a very affordable visit for families. We were far more visible in social media. We had a very active and successful campaign through social media and our website, new website, that again seemed to get the information out to people quickly. We were able to respond to them very, very quickly. And how about the sports bar? Having a sports bar out there was cool. TV sets to watch the game on Saturday, places for folks to sit down and catch craft beers. And the first year we ran intentionally and regularly golf cart shuttles inside the park for handicap riders. Again, seemed to be very well received. That was done intentionally and regularly through this. Can't go through any of that without talking a little bit about the money, and the money seems to be well. We still don't have the absolute final report, but it appears that we will have income in excess of expenses in excess of $25,000. So it appears that this is, we've soundly handled it. We doubled the beer sales. We doubled the Coca-Cola sales. We nearly doubled the amusement commissions. So all of the little pieces seem to work okay. We identified challenges and things that we want to improve on. Primarily, I'll mention 3 to you tonight. Traffic flow on Eastview Drive. oh my goodness, that was, it's amazing that those bus drivers, bless their hearts, they're good, but they steered it down between really tight down Eastview Drive. So Captain Dennis has agreed that he'd work with us. We'll try to come up with something, a little bit of an improvement to see if we can keep that throughway a little bit more passable. Our VIP area, we think, has got some potential. We want to evaluate that, see what else we can do with signage. Maybe we'll cut back the hours. Maybe we'll raise the hours. There's even some talk, as some of you know, that we've had some talk about maybe leading into the strut with a farm-to-table dinner on Thursday night that would also make use of some of the VIP facilities. So maybe we'll use it more. Maybe we'll tone it down, but we think we've got a lot of opportunities. Maybe it'll even be a public a ticketed area. And with the vendors, one of our commitments this year is that we're going to work with giving preferred vendors, food vendors, the folks that did a good job for us this year, paid their bills on time, did everything properly, give them first crack at doing getting their applications in next year first. So they'll get an advance chance, or perhaps 30 days to get their applications in, so we can try to reward people that have done well.
Nice.
We're going to be looking, we're still got to look for some revenue enhancements. As the festival's going to grow, sooner or later you have to bring in more money to pay for it. And so we've got some opportunities. Again, we doubled many of these things, but we've got to, one of the things we did this year that I would mention is we also retained the rights to be the sole vendors of bottled and canned soft drinks and water. So by doing that, it was another revenue stream. We'll work on that. We allowed vendors to sell it, but they had to buy things through the festival itself, so we retained that right just as another way to try to tweak the revenue into the festival itself. But we got to look for more opportunities. So we're still going to work on that. As we grow into a second night, if we're going to go with a very well-recognized headliner on Saturday night and bring them in, well, we got to find a revenue stream to pay for it. Modestly, I'll say that if anybody that was there Friday night, if you're at the Okra Strut, we talked many days about the good old days of back when the Strut was on Lake Murray Boulevard, and boy, those were great times that all of us remember. But if you looked down on Friday night and saw the Okra Strut, saw the attendees at the Okra Strut, and you saw everybody down there dancing, I'll tell you that's the closest thing I've seen to those days on Lake Murray Boulevard. It was a great strut, and if that didn't make you happy, I just don't know what I can do for you. I'll tell you, it was a good one. So any questions you have, I'd be happy to answer.
When's the next meeting?
Our next meeting would be it's the off week. You guys meet on the first and third Tuesdays, is that right? So ours would be scheduled for the second Tuesday of December.
December? Can we come?
It's open, absolutely. Please do.
Well, Larry, I want to thank you, first of all, for sharing this orchestra, and you did a great job. I was thoroughly excited about it, and
Yeah.
I think anybody who came Friday night had a great time. I know I did, and got up Saturday morning, had a great parade, and had a great Saturday night.
Yeah.
I hope we didn't get in too much trouble, Chief, with the noise. But we were partying on Saturday night.
Yeah.
About 10 o'clock. Well, it wasn't a lot of calls, was it, Chief? Yeah, it was a lot of calls. Well, maybe we can adjust that Saturday night.
On the Saturday night.
Maybe have an opera or something that night. But Larry, you did a good job.
I think it was fun.
Did a great job, and I want to thank y'all.
Hey, a lot of folks that did that. The commissioners worked very hard this year, so
They did.
don't forget these guys aren't part-time town staff. These are a bunch of volunteers here, so.
Thank you, Larry.
We
Thank you, Larry.
appreciate you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Oh, no. Good.
All right, Mr. Jim Reed from Tyler Sanitation with an update.
I'll be brief. I appreciate the opportunity to come and talk to you. We've been here now. We're back for about 3.5 months. And I just a few things. Number one, I want to say thank you for putting faith and trust in me and my employees to come up. And I know you had some problems in the past, and there's no such thing as a perfect garbage truck company. We touch every home in town up to 3 times a week. We take a lot of pride in what we do. So thank you for putting faith in us and hiring us, and we're really glad to be here. And the second piece of that is I want to just come, we've been here 3.5 months or so, and just touch base with y'all and make sure that the phone call volume that you were experiencing before has died down, that for the most part everybody's happy and that we're doing what we need to do. And if there's areas we need to improve,
That's our lady that takes the calls.
I think she likes me. But if there's things we need to improve on, this is the time to come and say, hey, I want you to work on this or work on that, so I can go back to my staff and communicate back to them, hey, this is how we stay in Irmo for the next 15 years. And that's what we want to do. We want to be here and do a good job for you. So I'm really here tonight for you as much as anything else. But before I take any questions, thank you all so much, because we really, this has been a good opportunity for not only me, but the folks that work for me. So.
Well, thank you for taking over what you took over and negotiating the contract with Richland County, which we didn't have.
Bob did most of that, but we worked together on it.
Y'all worked it out.
That's right.
We really appreciate that.
No problem at all.
Anyone have a
Yes.
question?
Mr. Reed, just for the record, because so many people have asked, why is there no glass being accepted?
This isn't a popular answer, but it actually has nothing to do with us. We're hired to collect whatever you want put in those recycling bins. But there's a third-party vendor, Paper Stock Dealers, which is owned by Sunoco, and they have a rate structure that if you want to recycle glass, the rates increase pretty significantly for the tipping fee for that product, which you pay. So we haul the stuff down there. We dump it, on the floor, and they go through and sort it. If you elect to put glass in your recyclables, it changes nothing for me. I'm glad to do it. We dump the cart, pack the trash, and go on our way. But if you go down the road of adding glass back to the recyclable, you're going to have an increased fee at Paper Stock, but they bill you directly. So it's I can explain it to you, but it's not something that's associated with what we do for you. And I think we're guilty by association because it changed at the same time the contract changed.
Yes.
But it actually has nothing to do with what we do for you.
Again, for the record, can you explain Sunoco's position?
I can tell you what I know about the recycling market. I can't speak for them. But typically, that stuff is sorted by hand. It runs up a rubber conveyor belt. The glass makes it so much harder for them to handle. It's harder on their employees. They have more problems with employees sorting that stuff by hand. And the glass tends to tear up their equipment at 5 times the rate it would if you're just doing paper, plastic, cardboard. So that's why they're doing that. And I think what you're going to see, recycling markets are struggling right now anyway. And so I think they're going to continue to try to tighten up the contamination issues that they have so they can try to find some value in that product. If they don't tighten that up, you could very well see that there's not a recycler to take this stuff. That's what happened in Charleston. They had an operation in Charleston losing $2 to $3 million a year. They just closed it down. I mean, recycling is a great thing, but those companies that do that have to be able to make a profit. And having glass in that material makes it much, much more difficult for them to process and to sell. I don't work for Paper Stock. I'm just telling you what I know about them.
And again, I think, again, for the public record, because so many people ask about it, I just wanted your take on it.
And we've gotten a lot of phone calls about it too, with the assumption is that Tyler Sanitation won't pick up my glass, and that is not true.
You pretty much you'll do anything we ask you to do, right?
Just about.
For a fee.
That's right.
Thank you.
No problem.
Anyone else?
Jim, I did want to make a comment that I'm very satisfied in where I live at in Arches Court with the time of service. You guys are there by 8 o'clock in the morning at the latest. I mean, I witnessed it this morning. I got up at 7, something like that, going to do some errands, and you guys are on Johnny on the spot picking up my recycling before I even left my house, so I didn't have to leave my recycling bin out there. Just brought it out, dumped it, and brought it right back inside. But there is one problem I'm having, and that's because I am very dyslexic and can't keep straight the days that I have recycling, because you can do it once, what is it, every other week?
Every other week.
is there any way that you can put a sticker on my week and say, this is, your week is Tuesday, your week is the second and fourth, whatever?
Well, it changes because there's 13 weeks in a quarter,
Okay.
and so it wouldn't be
really-
first and second.
Was yours today?
Yeah.
I'll call you.
That's fine. I mean,
But Kay does have a calendar
Uh-huh.
that she can give you that to put on your refrigerator. It won't fit on top of
that
your roll
would be
cart.
great, because if I miss it today, I have to wait 2 weeks before
Sure.
I can put it out again. And I know some of my neighbors are like me. They thought it was last week, and they put it out last week, and oh, it's not this week, so they put it back. And then today, I was the only one that had mine out, and I noticed theirs weren't out, so they must have missed it today. Not because it was anything that you guys did, it's just that because we can't keep it straight in our heads. And I understand that you got the every other week thing. So if we can get a calendar, that would be great. And just email it to me, and I can share it with my neighbors.
Okay.
But then
You'll get that?
that would be the only.
We've got one that we've got 2 calendars, one for the A weeks and one for the B weeks, and
Okay.
we'll be glad to get that over to you.
That would be fantastic.
And that is something that we can do for anyone who calls the town, and we can provide that via email for them for their area. So that's excellent.
Okay.
And it's a pretty logical split, the way it's the A's versus
Fine,
the
as
B's.
long as I know this
Sure.
is, and it's right in front of me. And the yard trash is every Monday, right?
Every Monday, yes, sir.
So that's perfect. That's the only. Like I said, I'm very happy. I mean, you guys are Johnny on the spot, and before 8 o'clock, I'm done. So I never had that problem. I never had that situation with the other company. So
I would love to stand here and take credit for that, and we might have a little bit to do with it because I'm hard to work for. But I have a really, really good crew.
is it the same guys coming through my neighborhood every week, or is it different guys?
There's 2 ladies that drive the truck, and both of them worked for me before. One of them's been with me since 2001 and has followed me everywhere I've been. But it depends on what product they're getting, but it's one of those 2 through your neighborhood, the same schedule every week. So one truck may be getting your yard trash on Monday, and the other truck may be getting your garbage on Friday. If you're on Archer's Court, but it's one of those 2 every time.
Okay.
And they're both really good. I have a great crew.
Well, I like to give appreciation gifts to my service providers at Christmas time. And I just need to know if the same people or is it different people. I just like to.
Just don't give them beer.
Okay. Promise I won't do that. Promise I won't do that.
That has happened. So anyway, if nothing else, again, thank you so much. And I'll try to keep in touch with every 6 months to a year. If you have any issues, just let us know.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Sir.
All right.
Next, we have presentations by citizens on anything you wish to talk about on the agenda or not. If you'd please step up to the mic and state your name.
Hello, gentlemen. Linda Jackson, 267 Garden Brook.
You don't need to give your address.
Oh, well, that's my address.
Okay.
Doesn't matter. I have a question about the bond for developers. I'm not sure if you're aware, when a developer has to develop in a county, it has to go to either the Richland County Board of Commission Planning Board or Lexington. Richland County requires them to provide the bond information. I've been trying to get it for our development.
And you can't?
Well, apparently for Village Garden and Garden Brook, they can't find it. They can't find the approval for the development. They're searching their database. It's been a week. They still can't find it. So was our development approved by Richland County, or was it approved by Lexington County?
This is half
That's the
your
question for,
half your subdivisions in Lexington, isn't it?
no, the inspection for the houses went to Lexington. The inspection for the sewers and the road was Richland County. Why that happened, I don't know. You have to ask your administrator.
Lexington County does our building code.
Yeah.
And Richland handles the water and the sewer, I believe, right?
Yes. And both builders violated the U.S. Army Corps permit for our development.
Can you add anything to that, Mr. Brown?
Yes, there's an investigation and there are going to be several complaints. And he's shaking his head, but I have the original plans. And if Richland County Planning Commission cannot find the documents that the developers were supposed to submit before they started the development, we have a real problem. It's not you. Well, you worked with his attorney, so we'll look into that later.
Okay.
Jake Moore was the town attorney when this development got approved somehow by somebody. But the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers came down last month and found several violations based on the SAT permit for that development, which is a good part wetlands. So the bond thing that you're talking about, you could probably go to one of the counties and get the bond information, because there was a bond company that came to our development, according to my neighbor on Sawyer, and there's an insurance company that gave McQuinn the bond.
Sure.
And then you have Six Oaks, which is Woodley's phase 1. So you have 2 phases. And you have, in phase 1, you have 2 builders. And in phase 2, you have 1 builder. But McQuinn has it listed under 3 different companies.
Well, let me ask you a question, Bob. Did they accept the roads in Garden Brook?
No.
Phase 1 they did, phase 2 not yet.
Phase 2 complete.
Phase 2.
Phase 2 is completed, the bond expired in May of 2016, that's what I said earlier, that's another one that's on the radar.
Jeepers creepers crawl.
I was over there with,
And why did the bond expire? Is that your fault?
wasn't my fault,
Well, who was watching it?
wasn't nobody, that's what.
Oh, there you go. Whose responsibility for the town is it? Is it the attorney, or is it the administrator, or is it the councilman?
You were listening to item A on the agenda tonight, you would have heard us discuss the bond and what we're trying to do to fix it.
So our development is going to end up getting stuck being paid by Irmo?
No. I think the question I'm asking is this a potential another, they're not going to accept the roads and we're going to have to end up paying another $300,000 or $400,000 to get the roads up to par in your phase 2 subdivision?
Hmm.
Yeah, phase 2 is about $9,000, and I'm waiting to get a more firm figure.
Yeah.
To fix that.
What does
That's
Richland,
not going to be the issue, roads are.
No, I understand.
what does Richland County say about this? What does Richland County say about this? Or are they keeping their mouths closed right now?
Everybody's,
They're going to come out and inspect for us and let us know what needs to be fixed.
That's what
I have the report.
we got to be able to talk to
Councilman,
people.
I have the report.
Well, I'm serious. I mean, this is ridiculous.
I have the reports.
From,
I have it all. I have the stormwater, the roads, the backyards of the people's homes, the stormwater, soil erosion, and grading problem with my house. I'd like to know whose eyes were closed.
well, Ms. Jackson, have you addressed Richland County?
I've addressed the attorney.
Council?
I've addressed the Attorney General of South Carolina, FEMA, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. FEMA's going to be coming down. My insurance company. The only one I haven't addressed was the media. And if you look at the plans that I have copies of, you'll see that there's something wrong. Somebody changed something in the original plan from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers from when Six Oaks LLC did the original submittal.
When was the original plan? I don't need to see it. You can tell me what the date is. I just want to get a timeline. There's no date on this. Yes, it is December of 2010. Okay.
That was the Army Corps.
Ms. Jackson, if you can email all the council members, we would appreciate it.
I will.
Thank you.
I'll send you the reports as well that I got from Richland County. I'm just waiting for the planning board documentation.
Thank you.
And then when I finish filing my complaints, I'll send you copies of that because somebody's coming to explain this to us.
How many homes is this involving?
Well, there's 4, from where the stream is on Garden Brook. On the right side, there's 4 homes, which were only supposed to be 3 homes because of the wetlands area. The Army Corps said you weren't allowed to build a house within 60 linear feet. They built a house 10 feet by the stream on both sides. My house wasn't supposed to be on the corner. And then on Sawyer, you have one house that was built and it's going to fall into the stream according to the tax assessor's office. And they came up and checked it out, and the Army Corps noticed it as well. So what happened? I don't know, but future developments here, somebody needs to keep their eyes open. Mm-hmm. You can't do this to people. Mm-hmm. One of the gentlemen on our block just passed away. And I think the stress of all the flooding in his backyard and in the front caused too much stress, and he was like in his 80s. You can't do that to people. And you can't allow the town to pay for roads when bonds expire. And then the developer brags in the paper or with his organization, he's got $12 million and he's doing really fine. Yeah. And the rest of us are left holding the bag.
Yeah. I agree with you there. We're going to work on that.
Okay.
I promise you that.
And I will send you the documents.
Thank you,
ma'am.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Good evening, y'all. It's good to see you, Kathy and Barry. I just have a question. The live stream went down about 2 minutes into the meeting, and everyone's asking why it wasn't live streamed. Yeah, it did show for about 2 minutes. I just didn't know if y'all were aware. I didn't know if we could come up to her and tell her during the meeting, so we live streamed it on the. Gotcha. Yeah, I don't know why it stopped. I do want to say I think it's really unprofessional that the mayor didn't show up tonight, but you guys ran the best meeting I've seen. So I think that says a lot. Maybe he should continue to stay home.
Please, let's stop this. Let's stop this.
That's all. I just wanted to ask about the live stream and tell y'all that. Thank you.
Thank you, Brandy.
Is it on Facebook or is it just on the website? That's the live stream.
When did the bond expire for our development?
I have no idea. When,
Okay.
Ms. Jackson has a question.
I have a
When did the
question.
bond expire?
When did the bond expire for the roads with McQuinn? Can't be. That's wrong. I closed on December 16th. I don't think that a bond would expire before the man closes out on houses. Who's the bond company? Well, if you don't know, how do you know it expired?
Because I was told by Richard County they had a copy of the bond. You're welcome to go call them, I'm sure they'll
I asked the planning board and they couldn't find it. So who did you speak with?
This is really not a state, this presentation. I would have to finish it for you.
Well, will you give the council people the answer so that they can email me?
Mr. Ismail Osbeck.
Oh, that's the gentleman that tried to stop the inspection with the engineering department. I know you don't, but I do. All right. I wouldn't believe Ismail. I would want proof first. Hard copy, because I filed the complaint against him.
Understood. Thank you, Ms. Jackson.
Hi, I'm Gloria Jordan. Had just a question for clarification regarding communication on the changes in the voting locations. There were several people that we saw on the Facebook page that were turned away because voting locations had been combined or moved, or there was a lot of confusion with the last minute changes. And we were wondering if this was something that had anything to do with the town's decision making, or if this was all with somebody else. I wanted to just pass that information along.
If it was voting in a school, the school district makes that decision.
Okay.
And the voting commission.
We pay Lexington County Election Commission to run our elections. We don't
And the voting commission. Okay. So the confusion, the last minute changes was from them and not from the town? That's correct. All right. Okay, thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak?
I'd like to say one thing for the record, though. We agreed to broadcast our meetings, live stream our meetings on the town website, I believe, and I did believe I said Facebook. But since we're not on Facebook, at least we're doing it on the town website. Again, this is one of the things that I'm going to be lobbying for in the budget, is to have a social media director or somebody that can handle that technology. Not that she can't do it, not that our present person can't do it, but I think we're missing out on a golden opportunity to broadcast the proceedings that we have up here to the general public that couldn't make it tonight and that would like to know what's going on. I don't know what the problem was or what happened, but we need to get that straightened out so we can at least send this information out to people.
Would you like to speak, sir?
I'm sorry, I didn't see you. Sorry, Mr. Hilly.
Oh, you're good, Councilman Walker. First of all, congratulations, Councilman Walker and Councilwoman Condon on your reelection. I'm proud to say that I voted for both of you guys in this election. I know that the three other members of the council were not up for reelection, but I do want you guys to take note of what happened in this election. Obviously, the people spoke for what they really cared about, which is hearing their voices heard. Obviously, we've got a Facebook page that we're streaming live to now that citizens like myself, I'm only 19, I'm probably the youngest person here, and just that we're able to have our voices heard. I did email most of the council after one of the council meetings about 2 months ago, and not all of the council did respond to me. I found that a little bit, I'm trying to find the word annoying, that they didn't respond, because during that meeting, it was when we were talking about the parking ordinance, and some of the council members did talk about how the citizens who were here, they were better reached elsewhere. So I decided, hey, I'm gonna email them instead. And obviously, if they didn't respond there, then where can we give our voices? So I just want to thank you guys for representing the town of Irmo, and I want to thank you guys for being an awesome council. That's all.
Thank you.
Email us anytime.
Anyone else wishing to speak? Seeing none, does anyone wish to go into executive session if there's any reason we should?
No.
Don't think so. Do I hear a motion for adjournment?
Make a motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. This meeting is adjourned.